1, 2, 3. There we go. Okay. Okay, so we are recording, and I'm gonna see if I can move this little girl up here. Good girl. And let's get started. So it is a beautiful day in September, my favorite month, not because it's the month that I was born in, but that's always fun on the 23rd. It's Bruce Springsteen's birthday as well, which is always kind of fun. But because it's just a beautiful time of year. Like it's not so oppressively hot. The leaves are just starting to turn a little bit. Kids are starting school, so there's that element of almost like a New Year's-esque like revival, right, of our spirit. And for some people, though, I understand, the marking of the end of summer can also be a little bit of a downer for a lot of people that, especially that get a little bit of that seasonal affective disorder as we have less and less sunlight and it gets colder. So honoring that, not everyone has the same response to changes of seasons, but how we can actually use this practice to help balance our internal energy so that we feel good internally and we're able to navigate those changes throughout the year a little bit with more skill. So hence QiGong, the skill of working with our own energy and how to improve it and direct it and release what we want to release and amplify what we want to amplify so that we feel good. So with that being said, since we're getting a little bit cooler, I want to work a little bit on our joints. So starting with silk reeling, we're just going to take our clasp our hands together, and then we're just going to start rotating our wrists. So nice and slowly, nice, slow movements, really get into the little nooks and crannies. This is really good to help lubricate the joints, keep blood flowing, right? When these major joints aren't worked, like a rusty door hinge, right? It gets a little creaky. Maybe it doesn't open and close. The door doesn't open and close as well. So we're just oiling the joints, oiling those joints. And then we're going to start incorporating a little bit of the elbows. So we're still rotating the wrist, but we're getting a little bit into our elbows here. Then you can kind of see how I'm actually moving from the hips and the waist. So as the right elbow comes forward, the left hip does. And as the left hip comes left hip comes forward, so does the left elbow. So you're sort of moving from the center, nice and slowly. And then you can start making bigger movements with the elbows. And they're almost like you're trying to touch the ceiling with the tips of your elbows. So it starts getting into the shoulder girdle. And then you can also feel a little stretch through the rib cage, through the sides of the hips. Moving from the hips and the waist. So think your left hip comes forward as your elbow does, and the right hip forward comes forward as the right elbow does. So elbow comes up, reaches towards the ceiling, and then forward. And then let's pause, and we're going to reverse that. We're going to go the opposite direction. So the elbow comes forward, up, and then back. This is really great to open up really all of the major joints of the upper body, and we're actually getting some mobility into the hips. And let's keep the hands clasped now. Take a nice inhale. And as we exhale, flip the palms so that they're facing forward, and exhale as you press through. So you're getting a little bit of a rounding of the upper spine as we exhale. And then inhale, gently draw the hands back in towards you. And then exhale. And then slow, deep inhale through the nose, and then exhale through the nose. As we inhale, you can look up slightly. And as we exhale, drop the chin down. So you feel a nice stretch through the shoulders and the back of the neck. Inhale. Now, as pause here, so as we're stretched forward, now you're just going to keep your hips facing forward and you're just going to move the upper body. So, really from the waist, turning over to the left, you're going to bring the arms over to the left. So, you get a nice stretch through the outer right arm, and then turn and look in the opposite direction. And take a nice inhale, and then bring everything back to the center. Now, this time the arms reach over to the right as you turn and look left. So see, to make sure your knees aren't collapsing in, you really want your feet and your knees to be in alignment, and you're just moving the upper body and then turning. So you're getting a nice twist, actually. And then inhale. Again, let's come over, the hands come over to the left as you turn and look right. And then back to the center, and then hands over to the right and turn and look left. And then drop the arms down for a moment. Keep the hands clasped, just roll out your shoulders. And we are going to repeat the breath work, but we're going to be raising the hands up and down. So let's keep the hands clasped, palms facing up. And then as we inhale, you're just going to raise your hands up, and then the palms flip out, and then up towards the ceiling. All in the inhale, and then keeping the hands clasped. You're gonna exhale as they come down, and then you can bring the elbows almost together, like you're giving a little squeeze on the end of the exhale, and then inhale again, stretching up, and then exhale. And again, inhale. And exhale. Really feel like you're stretching in two directions. Your feet are grounding down, so pressing down through the feet, and then you're lifting and raising the top of the head and the hands towards the ceiling. And then exhale. One last time. Inhale. And exhale. Let the arms come down. Let's shake them out for a minute. And let's go right into knocking on the door of life. So moving from the hips and the waist. Again, if there is one thing, one movement out of all of these sequences, this is one of the best things to do, especially in the morning. If you are like me, the older I get, the more cranky my back is first thing in the morning when I get out of bed. And then once I start going, once there's heat and mobility and I'm moving around, it feels a lot better. So waking up and doing this first thing in the morning will help loosen up all of the musculature in the lower back, helps to improve circulation. And you get the benefit also of stimulating your digestive system so that when you eat breakfast, the fire has already been stoked. And then let's come up below the collarbone. And then all the way tops of the shoulders. And then let's come back down below the collarbone. And then back down to the waist. And then let's start to unwind. So I think let's do a little bit of, taking my watch off here, of chi massage. which we do quite often, but today let's focus on specific acupuncture, acupressure points. So, one of my favorites is the inner and outer wrists. So pericardium 6 and then triple burner, aka the Sanjiao 6 on the opposite side, or Sanjiao 5, excuse me, on the opposite side. So we're going to crisscross the wrists. It's about between 2 and 3 inches above the wrist. And then we're just going to knock those 2 points together. Pericardium is the muscle that wraps around the heart, right? So it's a little bit of a heart protector. And especially now, allergies might be kicking up. The point on the outer wrist on the Sanjiao channel is really great for our immune system. And then let's change the direction so that the opposite hand's in front. So just activating these points now. So this is actually great to do a couple of times throughout the day if you're finding that you have more allergies or that there's maybe some more stressful things going on. And then we're going to take our, let's see, your right arm right in front and make a little gentle fist with your left. And we're just going to knock right at the crook of the elbow on top. This is also a major immune system point called large intestine 11. And then let's come to the inner arm, the inside here. This is the point on the lung meridian, lung 5. And then let's switch. Let's go over now to the left, starting with large intestine 11. So it's right, if you bend your elbow, not so you can kind of feel where that bony protuberance is, it's just off of that. Might be a little bit tender. It's a little tender for me. That's okay. We're just helping to stimulate that point, increase circulation, and then let's come to the inner elbow. And then let's come to the center of the chest. Right at the middle of that breastbone. Really great to release emotions that it might be kind of festering here, some of the anxiety. And then let's drop the arms down for a moment, just feeling all of that increased circulation as your energy, right? You're drawing into the surface so that we can actually feel it. That's your energy, your field of energy. And now let's come to the right beside the door of life, the lower back area. This is also really great to do in the morning if you're like me and have a cranky back when you first wake up. And, ooh, that feels good. If you tuck your tailbone down slightly, so if this is not tucking your tailbone, like a little duck, the opposite. So you're kind of like, almost like you have a little tail, your actual coccyx, tailbone, and you're trying to reach it towards the earth. You get a little bit more space here so that your chi massage might feel a little bit even better. And let's now go into our knees. So let's just step forward with the left foot. Keeping both knees nice and bent, you're just going to gently reach down towards your knee, and we're just going to tap or slap the outside of the knee. You can even let your knees be nice and loose. So if there's a little bit of a bounce, that's great. And now let's go to the back of the knee. And then the front of the knee. And now let's switch. So let's step back with the left foot. And now the right foot's in front. Keep both of those knees nice and bent. And then let's slap the outside of that right knee. And then the back of the knee. And the front of the knee. And let's stand up. And the final point is just below the belly button, the navel. So let's make little fists with our hands, and we're just going to knock about 1 inch to 1.5 inches below the belly button. A point that's called Ren 6. And the translation is the Sea of Chi. And then drop your arms down, and let's just pause here. Close your eyes and tune in. Paying attention to all of the sensations that are happening. Becoming aware of how things are circulating, how you're feeling. Okay, so now let's go into a wide stance. Let's bring our hands to the tops of our knees and just do a gentle stretch, gentle twist. So nice inhale, and then exhale, dropping the right shoulder down so that you're turning and looking over your left. And then inhale to the center, dropping the left shoulder down, looking over the right. And now moving on the breath. So at your own pace, you're inhaling to the center, exhaling as we twist, and then inhaling to the center, exhaling, twist. Back and forth, nice and slow. Really place your awareness on your spine. And the movement of the breath. As we inhale, there's a little expansion. And then as we exhale, we wring out the spinal column. And then let's inhale, come to the center, and let's gently fold forward. Letting the head go, relax towards the ground. Getting a nice decompression from the sacrum all the way up the spine to the base of the neck. And then slowly let's inhale as we roll the spine as we come up, stretching up. Let's do a few full body waves now. So inhale as we stretch up, keeping the knees nice and bent to protect your hamstrings and your knees. Exhale as we come forward towards the earth, and then slowly unfold as we roll up. Inhale and exhale forward. And last one. One last hold. Let's pause here. And then very gently unroll, rolling up, I should say. One last stretch. And then exhale the arms down. And then step to a narrower stance, and let's just shake everything out. And let's start to slow down. Okay, so for our flows, we are going to start with a posture. So let's come into embrace the tree. So we're just bringing, and really, so the point of this really is to focus on we have the ability to focus on our posture. So just think about, again, dropping your tailbone a little bit towards the earth so that your weight sinks a little bit more into the heels of your feet rather than the toes, right? So that gives you that grounding sensation. And then the arms come into a circle. So think about, let's raise the shoulders up first towards the ears and then drop them down. So that freedom and the space that you get between the ears and the shoulders, that's what we want. So the more we relax our shoulders, the less tension we hold here. And the elbows and the wrists are nice and relaxed also. And then think about tucking your chin back in. So think about as we jut our chin forward, right? There's the back of the head sort of dips towards the back down. And if we tuck the chin in, it's almost like the back of the head gets a little bit of lift, raises towards the ceiling. So your chin tucked in just a little bit, keep feet nice and grounded, and the weight more towards your heels. And this is working with gravity, right? Working on our posture, feeling where tucking our chin in so that we create that space in the back of the neck might feel awkward at first. But for most of us who are living our lives with this sort of like your head is in front of the body is really hard on the musculoskeletal system and can cause lots of issues later in life with neck issues and shoulder issues. So by practicing these postures, we can start retraining our musculoskeletal system to be a little bit more in alignment with gravity so that there's less wear and tear and that we feel better. And then we can just close the eyes and breathe. And then you can open your eyes. We're going to drop the left hand facing the earth. You're going to turn to the left, change the position of the hands. So the right hand comes up, palm is facing you, and left hand is facing the earth. Shift the weight to the back foot, and then turn over to the right. Change the hands, shift the weight, and then turn. So cloudy hands. And then we start linking these movements. So there's a fluidity, right? You can still use the cues. Oh yeah, I'm changing the hands, and simultaneously transferring the weight so that there's a synchronicity that's happening. Letting the shoulders melt away. And there's a softness. So cloudy hands, the flow for the heart, the frequency of the heart energy, love and compassion and tolerance. So using these flows to amplify, right? Energy is frequency. That's what it is, frequency, right? So what if there's a wheel, or think about the old school station radios in the cars when we were younger, where you had to press the button and it would go or shift from station to station, right? You had control over that. You could press the button and decide which channel you wanted to go to. So we're using these flows as a way of amplifying certain frequencies so that we're able to sort of be able to turn and change the wheel of our own, where we are, our own energy, which frequency we're finding ourselves on, becoming aware maybe of when we're like, ooh, that frequency is, it's here for a reason, but I think I'm going to either decide, yes, I think this is a frequency that I should stay on, or this is actually a frequency I'm not really feeling is good right now. What can we do to sort of shift that and change so that we can change and determine which frequency we want to be on? I'm thinking about the top hand as this fluffy cloud, and that imagery, right? We might think of a lightness, a softness. Think about that frequency of the heart. Joy is light. And that bottom hand, like you're tracing the surface of water. And now let's elevate this a little bit. So next time we roll across, let's bring that hand, instead of coming across at the heart level, we're going to bring it across at the level of the head, of the mind. So same flow. It's just as we come across, that front arm is more facing your forehead. So just think about clearing, right? Clearing the mind chatter, right? Maybe the negative self-talk. Right? We're just gently squeegeeing that and sending it to the earth to be composted. Especially, how we talk to ourselves. My mom recently was talking about I don't exactly know where it came from, who came up with it, but I really, it stuck with me, and I've been talking to even patients in the treatment rooms, right? When we go to say something, anything to anyone, right? What are the three things that really probably should dictate if it comes out of your mouth? What one, is it true? Number two, is it kind? And number three, is it helpful? And I really love that. But I also think that it's important to use that same, we'll call it the 3 points when we talk to ourselves, right? Is what we're thinking about and talking about ourselves. Is it true? Is it kind? And is it helpful? I think that ties right into changing the frequency. Is that a frequency of untruth? Is it a frequency of being unkind? Is it really helpful? And then maybe you're like, okay, I'm going to change the frequency. I like the station that has a little bit more of a compassionate frequency, maybe a little more positive and helpful. And let's come to the center for a moment into our chi ball. There's a practitioner in the city. Her name is Jill Blakeway. She's lovely. She has a beautiful practice. She's been doing it for many, many years. But I know that her staff, who I'm friends with, she always tells her staff, like, be careful with your thoughts. Thoughts have energy. So even though, is it true? Is it kind? Is it helpful? We think of, like, in speaking actual words out there, but it really is about the thought patterns too. Be careful and kind of choose wisely, whatever that means for you. So from here, let's go into grasping the bird's tail. So this is, again, more of a heart-centric flow. We're going to inhale the arms open, like we're opening up that chest and pericardium and heart. And then as we exhale, you're going to bring your arms in front so that your right arm is a little perpendicular, and the left arm comes in almost perpendicular to your opposite hand, and your fingers are pointing in towards the inner elbow. And then we inhale, and then exhale the opposite hands. Inhaling, and exhale. And as we inhale, there's a little bit, right? We're inhaling, there's a little bit of an opening here. So I'm actually moving a little towards the toes, transferring the weight towards the toes. And as we come in, right, a little bit of sinking towards the heels. Inhale, expanding, and then exhale, pulling back, right? It's the yang, like the expansive, outward, and then the yin, the retreating inward, the more quiet aspect. And in terms of our energy and our interactions and what we're putting out there, right? Having this joy and compassion and open heart, right? What we want to bring out and let ourselves, right, be open to. What frequencies are we like, yes, bring that in, I'm in. And then also having the discernment of like, that's really not what I want to bring in, and I'm not really going to engage or allow that to become too sticky on me. So we have the open, expansive, but we also protect ourselves, and that's okay. It's the knowing when it feels good to say, yes, I'm in, bring it on. And then having the discernment and self-compassion to say, that's not really suiting me. And I'm just going to say that's okay. The integration of both, right? Of the yes and the no. And you alone know what feels right for you, what feels wrong or unnecessary. Right. And having the strength to be able to say no when we want to say no. And one more inhale. And let's come back to embrace the tree for one moment, reintegrating with that posture, dropping the shoulders down, weight sinks towards the heels, crown of the head lifts up. And this is your container. You're containing this really beautiful energy field. You're amplifying it. And think of it as a precious resource. Then drop the arms down. So now that we've cultivated all of this really receptive, joyful energy, right? Strengthened our boundary systems. Let's now just gently churn the internal environment, though this is actually called turning the wheel. So we'll take the hands start just outside the hips. So your palms are facing in. And then you're going to trace up the sides of the body. So you're going to bring the hands up right in front of the shoulders, right in front of the ears. And then just as we get just above the head, you're going to bring the hands forward slightly, maybe about a foot or two in front, and then all the way down. And then back to the sides of the hips again. So you're just inhaling up. Think about extending up towards the ceiling or sky. And then as we exhale, we sink a little down into our heels. Inhale, then go pulling energy up the spine, even the back of the spine, to the back of the head and the crown of the head, and then down through the third eye, the tongue, the throat, the center of the heart, and then down the front of the body. So this is something called the Microcosmic Orbit, which is the integration of two channels, the ren and the do. The do runs up the back of the body, the spine, back of the head, and comes up and around. And then the ren channel resides in the front of the body. So we're just integrating these two, turning the wheel. the wheel of energy, right? We want to have a nice, constant, gentle flow. Think of a little brook or a river. Having compassionate, difficult conversations, right? Difficult conversations with maintaining relaxation and openness and compassion and really listening, right? I think that's a skill I think a lot of us kind of struggle with, right? And when we're speaking, we're oftentimes really paying attention to what we want to say next rather than what the person in front of us is actually saying. I am definitely guilty of this, right? But really truly listening is like quieting the mind, right? So that we're able to actually hear what this person is saying and then have that space, right? What you're about to say, right? In response, after you've heard and you've integrated, okay, now I'm choosing what I'm going to say. Is it true? Is it kind? And is it helpful? Especially now, there's a lot of vitriol and harshness, right? It's maybe even more difficult, but even more important. So as we go through the day, maybe even just try as an exercise for one day, right? Think about before I say anything, it might be a quick 10 seconds, like I'm going to actually say it. Is it what I'm about to say? Is it real? Is it true? Is it helpful? And see how that maybe changes what happens in the dialogue. And let's do one more inhale. And then exhale to bring our hands one last time to that chi ball. And then let's bring the feet together. And then inhale the arms down, around, and up. And then exhale. And then inhale. And exhale. And then inhale. And one last exhale to bring everything to the center. And maybe give yourself a little bit of gratitude for carving out 45 minutes to stretch, breathe, move, and meditate. To help keep the wheel flowing. And when you're ready, you can crack your eyes open. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you have a great day and you're a little kinder to yourself than maybe you would have been before class. And I'll see you all next week. Nope, I won't see you next week. The 20th and the 27th, those are the 2 Fridays I will be in transit on an airplane. So I won't see you the next 2 weeks. I'll send some recordings so that you have them. So the next class will be the first Friday in October.
And you'll send this recording, right? Because this is a really good one.
Okay, yes, you got it. I'll absolutely send it.
My back feels so much better.
Me too. My back was very cranky this morning for some reason, and I feel 1,000 times better. So I'm glad that you do as well. And Mom, thank you so much for the tidbits that really inspired this class. All right. Goodbye, everyone.